You a Ranger fan?
Yeah, right.
And I had a
Like
professor
Rangers
in
now?
that
We
school.
watch a lot of the Rangers.
So he would say,
Other
"First
guys
time
do
I
that.
got here, I heard peanut.
Oh, the Giants, right, yeah.
That was just, they don't know how to win, do they? They don't know how to close. They find new ways. You're a Jet fan, aren't you? So don't be smiling at the Giants when you're a
If
Jet
everyone
fan.
would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
The same problem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, my name is David Heiser. I'm pinch hitting for Mayor Jason Klein. Jason's a little bit under the weather. I apologize for our delay, but we were discussing myriad issues, and we are now prepared to get on with our regular agenda. The first item on the agenda, considering an exemption or extension of Chapter 158, Section 2.1 of the Village Code regarding a seasonal leaf blower ban for Washington Park Plaza.
Whereas, in April 2023, the Board of Trustees approved a local law approving Village Code enacting a seasonal gas-powered leaf blower ban from May 1st through September 30th, effective 2024. And whereas under the code, properties with at least 5 acres of property can apply to the Village Board for a full or partial extension or exemption of the local law. And whereas an application has been distributed to all the eligible properties and also been placed on the website. And whereas in August 2023 and November 2024, the Board of Trustees approved a request for an exemption of the Village Code enacting a seasonal leaf blower ban for Washington Park Plaza. And whereas a one-year exemption was granted by the board that expired on October 1st, 2025. Whereas on October 31st, 2025, representatives of Washington Park Plaza submitted an application for further exemption from the requirements of local law requiring a seasonal ban on gas-powered leaf blowers at the plaza. Now therefore be it resolved that after consideration of the intent of the local law, as well as considerations raised in the application from representatives of Washington Park Plaza, the Village Board of Trustees hereby either approves, denies, or approves with conditions the request for this exemption under the Village Code, and then any conditions that might be established would be discussed by the board.
Can I get a motion now to open the public hearing on this?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak about this?
Hi, everybody.
Bring it down maybe a little bit. Speaker on there.
Once again, we're here to, oh, I'm sorry. That's good. We're here to ask for an exemption because the last time we met,
I don't think we can hear you.
we're here again to ask for an exemption for the blowers. We do try to use the electric as much as possible, but up until now, we're in the same situation we have been the past few years. The blowers are not advanced, the batteries are not advanced, and it's actually the same thing as from almost day one, other than a few different styles. But as far as the power and as far as the longevity of the battery, it doesn't exist. So because of that, we ask for your approval to extend it for another year.
Has the technology changed at all?
Very, very little. They changed the style, the shape, the sizes, the weight. They're trying to get the weight down because the batteries are so heavy. At the demonstration that we had, it was 12 pounds heavier for a battery-operated backpack as opposed to a gas machine. And that's changed very, very little. But it's the biggest thing. The machine is fine. It's just battery-operated. When you do commercial, most of the time you have it on boost. Because of that, it sucks the battery down. When we did the demonstration at the shopping center, at full boost, we got 20 minutes at best. And the manufacturer said it's at least 2.5 hours on a charge, which it doesn't happen. So the area we have, it's just too much, and to go there with a blower, I mean, a battery pack blower as opposed to a gas machine.
What brand of blower are you using?
Electric we use still. And I tried Red Max, I tried Milwaukee, and I spoke to 1 million other landscapers, and they're all in the same boat. They have no issue getting the equipment, but it's not perfected yet as far as everybody thinks it is. For a house, maybe you can get by. If it's a small house, 15, 20 minutes to use an electric blower, that's no issue. But when you have acres of parking space, you just need something strong enough that's what's going to last to get the job done.
And are you still using it in the same manner that you have been for the past 2 years?
Yeah. The electric blower, we try to use along the walkways, the staircases, isolated small areas. But when you get into the parking area, it's just not strong enough, and they won't last. When they do come up with something that's going to last, we have no issue getting it. That's not the problem. The problem is they haven't manufactured anything yet that's strong enough to last.
No, I remember going to the demonstration 2
Yeah.
years ago.
This is what I'm saying. You were there, and that hasn't changed that much. Although people think so, but the technology hasn't changed that much.
What time of the day do you blow the leaves? Or the garbage,
Well,
I would say, right?
well, we try to get there early in the morning for 8 o'clock in the morning.
Before 8?
Yeah,
Yeah.
before 8. And we're there for a few hours. So I'm going to say maybe a total of 3 hours, let's just say, to do everything.
Right.
Where without that, you can almost double that. And who's going to absorb that cost? I can't charge it to the shopping center.
Are you still
Yeah.
burdened by the fact that people are using the parking lot as a garbage can?
That never changed since day one. I've been there 40 years, and that we had that issue for 40 years. Now it's a little bit better because people aren't smoking like they did years ago, because years ago with that, we had to put up with all the cigarette butts. They would open the door, dump it on the ground, and walk away. So it is a problem, and it does generate plenty of garbage.
Any other questions?
How do you handle when you see residents or people in the lot? Do the guys lower it? Are they on full throttle?
No. We stay away from where the people are. That's why we do it early. But if there's people parking, we don't go to that section until it's clear that we can go around, because you don't want to blow anything on anybody's vehicles or them.
Right.
Yeah, or them.
Right, that's
No,
my
no, no.
concern, is the particulates.
No. At 40 years, you get really creative, to work around that, because there's always somebody going to be there.
Right.
There'll always be a car in the parking lot, and there'll always be somebody in the store. If it's open, somebody's there. But we work around that, so there hasn't been we haven't had an issue like that in 40 years, so I think we're doing the right thing as far as that goes.
What time is the earliest that any store is open?
Well, Acme's the one that changes all the time. They used to be open until midnight, now they're 9 o'clock at night. They are there, I believe it's 7:30, right? Yeah, 7:30, they open.
Are they the earliest and the latest?
They're the earliest, yeah, and the latest, yes.
Well, I guess the restaurant's probably open. Maybe not. There's only one restaurant.
Yeah,
open, right?
yeah. Well, they have
Dunkin'
they have
Donuts.
along the strip. They have the pizzeria,
Yeah.
and then they have the restaurant on the end.
Is that open now?
No, it's not yet. Not yet. They have somebody that has it, but they're not open yet.
Oh, that's right, they closed, huh? Jeez. I have a question.
The city of White Plains passed a complete ban on gas-fired leaf blowers for the entire year.
Right.
And they don't exempt parking lots. They exempt some large parks, but not parking lots. Have you heard
I'm
in the
not
industry
familiar with their
how
laws.
that's going? I mean,
Well, if you drive through White Plains, there's plenty of blowers going on.
so maybe
It's
you're
as
saying
if-
maybe
it's
people are
almost as
ignoring it.
if
Yeah.
It's non-existent, because, we go Bloomingdale Road and Bloomingdale's.
Right.
They're blowing in air all the time. Across the street, they're blowing in air all the time. Any big commercial place, as of right now, they just put that billboard up, somebody told me, on the avenue. That about the leaf
A billboard
blowers.
about the leaf blowers?
Yeah, about the
Yeah,
leaf
I think
blowers.
it's been in effect since January,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
But there's still blowing as if there is no restriction
Okay.
whatsoever. Because once again, like I say, that's an area that's large, and they can't, they can't do it with the electric over there. It's too big,
Okay. Yeah.
And while I'm here, I want to introduce Bob Hart. He's going to be taking over for Martha. Martha's going to finally retire after 40 years. So,
So thank you. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Robert Hart. Our company's Hart Realty Advisors. We're based in Southport, Connecticut. We've just become involved with Washington Park Plaza on November 1st. And so we're transitioning with Martha. And all I can say is that I totally understand what the intent of the regulation is. But it is the market is not where the towns are in terms of trying to promote this. Our experience is that some owners, institutional owners, want green. They want green services provided to their properties. And, we have relationships with large regional companies, and they don't have the equipment. They just can't do it economically because the industry is not where towns want to be or where certain owners want to be. So it's just not there yet.
Is there any sense that the industry understands this?
They have to. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I think so, but honestly, we had this conversation before you came in. Until everyone says no, and there's no choice, and the vendors go back to their suppliers, their manufacturers, and say, we need something, guys. Until that happens, there's not going to be dramatic change, because right now it's economical. But it will become very uneconomical to comply if the technology is not available, and it's not. It's just not there yet. It will be, I'm sure it will be, but it's not there yet.
The laws are faster than the technology.
Exactly, right. And, it's government that pushes the industries to move in the direction that government says they need to go. They want them to go. But there is a disconnect, and I think there will be for a few more years.
So basically, it sounds like it's a conundrum.
Correct.
They're not going to be pushed because we're not enforcing.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, it's the chicken or the egg.
Right,
If
exactly.
we said you can't get an extension, you would then have to put pressure on the industry.
Yeah, but we, Washington Park Plaza, are not putting pressure on anybody.
I understand, but we would have to say it to everyone, and every community would have to say it to everyone.
And I think that, I think that you will get there. I think you'll get there in time, but to just say now's the time puts a burden on owners and their vendors. And that's the concern.
So I understand that, but a lot of the communities are moving to this. In other words, I just heard from Trustee Crom that White Plains just enforced it. I know that Rye has had it for several years. So we're not enforcing what we have sought to do.
We have a project in White Plains, and we have projects in Greenwich and throughout Fairfield County, and no one is using electric blowers. None of our vendors are using electric blowers.
So they're flouting the law, or they have...
They are, well, I don't know if they're flouting the law intentionally, but, if there's a regulation, if there's a bylaw that says you can't do this, then, yeah, I guess they're flouting it. But they are the ones that go to their industry meetings, regularly and say, this is what's happening. But the manufacturing industry has not responded, and that's where we're stuck.
It's not a question of buying the equipment. I'm sorry. It's not a question of buying the equipment, because I'm willing to do that, and I did when it first came out. But if the technology's not there, the equipment's totally useless. That's like getting in your car and not putting any gas in it. You can't go anywhere with the blowers because they don't last. That's the whole issue. Nobody has a problem buying them. That's not the issue. The issue is the technology is not there, like Bob said.
Therefore, we would ask for another year's extension in
And hope they got
order
something
to,
comes up.
in order to continue to operate the properties to the extent that they need to be operated, and to allow time for the industry to catch up, because it's not there today.
Trustee Heiser? So I think, I don't want to speak for the board, but, I think what they're trying to do is show progress. They want to see progress. So, on the residential properties, a lot of residents have, they have complied, and they have done that. They're different sized properties. Some people do on their own. Some people have landscapers, and the residential landscapers have adjusted very well. I think what the board has asked in some of the approvals that have come through, their concern is things like noise and emissions and things like that. So some of the areas that are in homeowner developments, for instance, that of the larger companies, they've tried to encourage things like progress could be using electric near the homes and the walkways and around the houses, which addresses some of the noise and the blowing that's around the homes and the people that live there. So I think that's a good way to show progress. Yours is definitely a little bit different because you're doing it before hours, so you don't have the occupants into the buildings, and you're using it primarily on parking lots. So I think that is some of the things that are a little bit different on your property than maybe some of the others. But I think what the board's looking is any ideas that people have saying, how can we move it to the next step? And that's I think what they're trying to hear. If there's an exemption granted, is there progress being made? And I think that's what they're trying to get to.
In the past year that the technology would catch up, and it didn't. It hasn't.
No, it's not going to jump there right away.
No.
Yeah.
We know that it's going to be a very
Yeah.
slow thing. But in the meantime, if you can't buy anything that's strong enough, you just throw money out the window. That's
I think
the whole
you're in a
issue. Once
unique.
again, it's
I
not
think you're also in
buying
a unique area that you don't have the tenant there yet when you're doing it. Mostly,
Right. So I agree with what you're doing, and I applaud it. And we all sit in our homes, and the neighbor goes off, and we go, well, it's not the best time, but they're doing it when they do it. But you know that they're there. And to your point, however, that we're different, and we do seek to be treated differently, and with the understanding that, we'll do what we can to be in compliance, to act on the intent of the of the regulation. But we do still think we need an exemption and assistance until the world catches up with what you're trying to do and what we will do.
Don, did you want to say something?
Yep, I was going to say, in further to what Administrator Bradley was saying, it sounds like you're already using the electric on the sidewalks. Is that true?
Yeah, the sidewalks and the stairwells, we are using the
And
electric.
would you commit to continue that practice?
We have been since
Okay.
we last spoke last
But,
year.
we would put in the exemption that, that would actually, maybe it's a bit of a show, but you're close, it sort of aligns with what we've asked in the past some of the HOAs to do, which is
Right.
try to limit blowing close to structures, close to people.
Right.
Obviously the time of day is a plus, but
Right.
if we could put that in your exemption, that would, I think,
That's
help.
fine, because that's
And it
what we-
also shows that you have the equipment
Right.
and you're using it.
Right. That's
Which is
what we're
another
doing now,
visible thing
Yeah.
that, and I also, on the environmental side, I do applaud that you're keeping the lot clean, which means it's not getting into the stormwater, which is, to me, you deserve credit for that and for being our town center too. We do appreciate your business and your, what you're providing the community too, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As this is your third application, I would appreciate your speaking to whoever it is that your contacts are within the industry and letting them know that this may not be able to go on forever.
Right. Well, they're aware of that.
Time you
They're
may
aware
get
of
a
that.
no, and
Yeah.
the industry needs to start getting serious
Right.
about improving the technology.
Right. Well, I agree 100% with that. Like I said, it's not the issue of buying the machine because all the equipment's expensive. But to buy something that doesn't work,
No, I understand.
that's very frustrating.
But you're in a better
No.
position than me to put some heat on the industry
Right.
and say, guys, we got away with it again this year. We don't know if it's going to happen again next year.
Right. Right.
Question. About how many machines do you have, both gas-powered as well as electrical? I'd like to have some understanding.
Everything is gas except for the backpack, and that's electric. That's it.
So one,
One.
well,
Out of 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10.
Well, no. The other, I have 4 big push blowers. I have 4 backpacks. I have the bobcats. I have tractors, lawn mowers, weed eaters,
Right.
trimmers.
No, I meant in terms of blowers.
Oh, yeah.
One electric blower.
One out
electric
of
blower, yeah.
5 or to.
Well, let's put it this way. If you want to go from day one when we started trying different brands, I had 3.
Okay. Well, That's helpful.
Because I had Milwaukee, I had Red Max, and I had Still. And equal. No change, no difference. Meantime, everybody said, this one's better, that one's better, so we tried it, but they're not.
Just to be clear, the stairwells and the sidewalks, that's what you're doing with the electric?
Yeah, with the electric.
Sidewalks and stairwells.
Right.
Stairs are in the back, right?
Yeah, they go down the basement, and they have the catwalk that goes
Yeah,
across the whole
catwalk,
back.
right,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
back of the buildings.
Any other comments? I got a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion?
Second.
Deputy Mayor, it's not a public hearing, so you don't need to open. It's not a public hearing, so you don't need to open and close it. You just need a motion just to approve something.
Yeah, you need to make a motion to modify the resolution however you'd like to modify it, and then we'll vote on the resolution.
Well, I think there was a call to modify it so that it's clear that they will continue using electric blowers on the sidewalks and the stairwells.
And,
Okay, so I will,
and cease, I personally believe that they should cease using the gas powered ones when there are people walking also. Quite frankly, that's what I come across, where I'm being blown. Not necessarily your property, but in general, I walk when other people are using the gas-powered ones, and I think that when they see individuals walking,
They stop.
they should.
Well, that we never do.
They do not.
No, I think I see him stop.
I see it on
mean,
a
they
residential
respectfully-
basis. They're blowing it into my car sometimes.
No, we've never done that in 40 years. We've never blown in anybody's, like I said before, anybody's vehicle, but
No, not
forget the vehicle, people.
Right.
Because you have
Turn it off.
you have adults, you have seniors, you have kids. So anybody that does that, that's totally ridiculous.
But we've also asked if you're using the gas power for other property managers to put it on a lower throttle. Have we not? We have to be equitable.
Yes.
We have, and we're not being equitable. So if we're going to, establish some sort of policy going forward, it should be equitable.
But
You don't think that it makes
Well-
a difference? I mean, I'm asking you. I'm
no, I
not
mean,
a,
I don't want to
like-
speak out of order, so.
That's not my thing. That's all right.
Yeah, okay. No, I think the parking lot's a separate, a large parking lot area is different than a large grassy area to me. I think the 50% throttle has been more like on large grassy areas around homes as opposed
your
to.
homes.
Yeah, as opposed to parking, yeah.
Fair enough.
If they're doing it at hours that are before the tenants and the
Yeah.
and customers, it might be better to keep it more full and get this thing done
Get it
quicker.
done,
Get it
yeah.
done quicker.
And also, there are no houses around there.
There are houses behind there.
Yeah, but nowhere near the parking area, though. I mean, they're there, they're around the shopping center, but nowhere where any debris could blow on them at all.
Okay, so why don't I try to summarize the last resolve clause, I think how the board would like, and then please let me know if there's anything you'd like changed. Now therefore be resolved after consideration of the intent of the local law, as well as considerations raised in the applications from Washington Park Plaza, the Board of Trustees hereby approves with conditions the request for an exemption of the village code enacting a seasonal leaf blower ban for Washington Park Plaza through October 1st, 2026. And be it further resolved that the approval of the exemption includes the following conditions, which is that electric blowers shall be used on any sidewalks and stairwells at the Washington Park Plaza.
And this exemption would expire on October 1st, 2026?
Yes. Which gets you through the banned timeframe, and then you can apply, again, next time you could apply would be next October.
Okay.
Greg, do your thing.
Yeah, we would need a motion in a second.
And I get a motion to
So moved.
approve
Second.
As amended.
as amended.
Second.
Sounds good. Okay. All right, Trustee Epstein,
Yes.
Trustee Crum,
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Heiser.
Yes. You're not supposed to laugh. You could just
Thank you
snicker.
very
Thank you.
much. Thank you so much, everybody.
It was
Thank
Have a
you
nice
for coming.
Thanksgiving.
always part
Thank you
of
for
the-
coming and explaining it to us.
Thank
yeah.
you.
And Don, he should be called Mr.
Okay, we got another one.
Trustee Epstein.
Our second application is considering a request for an exemption extension of Chapter 158, Section 2.1 of the Village Code regarding a seasonal leaf blower ban for Atria Rybrook.
I'm going to go a little quicker on the background, but whereas there's a code that enacted a seasonal leaf blower ban from May 1st to September 30th, and whereas the properties over 5 acres can ask for an extension, and whereas the Board of Trustees approved a request for an exemption for Atria Rybrook on February 2024 and March 2025, and the 1-year exemption was last granted by the board on October 1st, 2025. Expired on October 1st, 2025. And whereas on October 28th, representatives of Atria Rybrook submitted an application for a further exemption of the requirements of the local law requiring a seasonal gas ban on gas-powered leaf blowers. Now therefore be it resolved that after consideration of the intent of the local law as well as considerations raised in the applications from Atria Rybrook, the Board of Trustees either approves, denies, or approves with conditions the request for the exemption or extension of the Village Code for Atria Rybrook, and then any conditions would be put in the resolution.
Is there somebody from the public who would like to speak on this one? And I think you gentlemen can pretty well figure out what our questions are going to be.
Yeah, so,
And if you haven't been paying attention, shame on you.
I'm represented Atria, and he's our contractor. Just like the previous guys before us, we're having the same issue. With the one thing I wanted to add when you guys were discussing the battery, catching up to the technology, catching up to the laws. The batteries have, it's a slow, very slow development that's been happening. If they weren't able to catch up, quicker, I feel like the cars would have been, that they would be the first ones to get there. So they're very limited by the technology of the batteries. So it's not that the industry can just say, oh, we're going to just make more efficient batteries. They're not able to produce it because the technology just isn't there right now.
Tell us where within Atria are you using electric blowers?
So the contractor would.
I don't care who, among who.
How you doing? Nice to see you again. This is my 3rd year here for everything. And last year I had committed that on the back areas, the hardscape type areas and stuff like that, the sidewalks, when we do mowing and stuff like that, with the grass clippings that we would go ahead and blow off with the electric handhelds for the most part. We do have some backpacks as well. So we did do that. And we rarely have a need to be able to use gas powered during the regular time of the season where we're doing like the typical mowing and stuff like that, except for like when you get into the parking lots and stuff like that, or if it starts to rain or something like that, the electric doesn't blow the clippings when it's wet, where the gas is more powerful. So we did commit to that, and we have been doing that type of stuff. But just as everybody else has said, the technology has not gotten there. But we have invested a lot of money, and so we have continued to go down the path of, hey, how can we get better and stuff like that. We can only get better based on what the technology is, and 19-minute run time on a machine that costs $2,700 between backup batteries and everything like that there's not a return on investment right now for us. But we have spent the money, and we're continuing to see what the new technology is. But as some of the other guys said, we tried also Milwaukee. We do have steel. We have tried Milwaukee. Our guys can't even carry them. They're really heavy. So they basically said we just can't do it. We do have probably altogether, we've got 2 of the newer steel backpacks, and we have I think 4 of the Greenworks from previous years that we continue to use on the low end things, and we have about 10 handhelds of the electric battery packs. So we're trying to do what we can, and we're committed to continuing to see what's out there. Try things. A lot of times we get the
some suppliers to come in and allow us to use their equipment for like a week just to try things out and see where we are. We also have invested in mowers as well. So, we're going down the path to see what the next best thing is. But lately, we're trying to say, hey, we got to come back with something else because with the blowers, it's just not there. We're even looking at what can be done with the future for if we have to go back to manual stuff and sweepers. I can tell you right now, I'm not happy with the progress of the backpacks or any of the electric blowers, and they just not even close to being a power. So it will end up becoming a cost initiative there. So
How long have gas
What?
blowers been around?
what's that?
How long have gas blowers
I
been
don't
around?
know. I don't know exactly how long. I know they were talking earlier about back in the 70s that they've been using them even.
Just wondering how things were cleaned up prior to gas.
Back to manual labor, and really going back to the old style of doing things, which will add on, time. Time is money.
They use crazy as it may seem, but an electric plug-in 100-foot cord. Is there enough around the building? People involved in that?
Not for that complex, no.
Yeah.
No. Again, you're talking residential, different thing where I could I just have to blow off the driveway quick. It's simple. It's really not that big of a deal when you're dealing with small residential driveway and stuff like that. There are some residential driveways that are huge also though. But for the most part, when you're dealing with commercial properties, it's very difficult. If it got to the point where it came out that we'd have to use them during leaf season, then I'd have to say, hey, we're going to have to do it all labor and, change costs. It's going to have to be a contract thing that has to be reinstituted, to go at it, come up with added costs because it's going to be labor intensive.
Any other questions, comments?
Well, question, I'm not sure it was in your initial exemption, but would you be willing to add the things you've been doing to?
Well, we talked about it last year, and I committed to doing it. So it's again. But if it's raining or something like that, as we're finishing up, I got to be able to use gas to properly clean it up at times. But we've been using it for the most part. And as a matter of fact, if you go back, I think you'll look at the notes from last year. I already committed to doing that, and I have no problem continuing that part of it. But I just can't do it at a large scale.
And just to summarize, last year's resolution read, electric leaf blowers shall be used on sidewalks and pathway areas adjacent to the building.
How are the residents handling your work? As a property manager?
Yeah, the residents are usually, if these guys come in early, and the residents are usually either inside, and if they are outside, their guys are very good. They turn it down. Their stuff's all throttled in a little button. They can very easily just throttle it down, point it away, let the residents do what they need to do, and then continue on their work. But we've had no complaints from the residents for the blowers.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
No. Nope.
Chris, you want to read?
Sure. Now therefore be resolved that after consideration of the intent of the local law as well as the considerations raised in the application from representatives of Atria Rybrook, the Board of Trustees hereby approves with conditions the request for an exemption of the village code enacting a seasonal leaf blower ban for Atria Rybrook, and be it further resolved that the approval of the extension includes the following conditions. Number 1, that electric leaf blowers shall continue to be used on sidewalks and pathway areas adjacent to the building, and 2, that this extension is granted through October 1st, 2026.
And as I
Thank you.
cautioned the first group, do not assume that when you get this third extension, the fourth is automatic.
Hey, listen, I'm not saying anything as we're trying to go down a path of what can we do to go all electric. I will tell you this: I don't know of any other landscaper that has invested the money that we have, because like I said, we've got over $100,000 just this last year in trying to move things along, including getting trailers that have charging systems and stuff like that. So we have committed to, you know, trying to do things to get better and to learn, you know, and we'll continue to look for what's out there in the industry.
I believe you. What I want to see, however, are the users putting heat on the industry.
What's that?
I want to see the users of the equipment putting heat on the industry to start upgrading the technology. And that's what I would request. Any comments about our amended resolution?
No.
No, works.
Just
You
need
need a motion and a second.
Motion
Second.
Motion.
suggesting that somebody make
Oh.
a
Motion.
Thank you. I know your heart was in it.
As amended, yes.
Now can I get a second by someone other than Susan?
Second.
Trustee Epstein, Trustee Crom,
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Heiser.
Yes.
Okay, we're all set.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Happy holiday.
The third item on our agenda is considering reimbursing the Portchester Rybrook EMS for the purchase of 7 AEDs for the village of Rybrook.
Whereas the 2025-26 adopted budget includes a capital project to replace 7 automatic external defibrillators, or AEDs, in the following parks, facilities, and departments, as established a project budget of $16,750 in a capital account. And those parks are Pine Ridge Park, Garibaldi Park, King Street Field, and the buildings are Village Hall, AJP Community Center, and also the Rybrook Fire Department. There's 2 in the fire department. And whereas the Portchester Rybrook EMS manages the Rybrook's AED program and procured 7 AEDs on behalf of the village after seeking 3 quotes, including Sourcewell's public procurement program, in the amount of $11,371.08, after a $250 credit per unit on the 7 expiring AEDs to be surplused. Now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby declares the expiring 7 AEDs as surplus and authorizes payment from capital account to the Portchester Rybrook EMS to reimburse them in the amount of $11,371.08 for the purchase of 7 AEDs for placement in the Village of Rybrook's parks, facilities, and departments. And be it further resolved that the balance of funds in the capital account in the amount of $5,378.92 is hereby returned to the general fund, and this capital project account is closed.
Thank you. I noticed that there's not a huge number of people in the public that want to talk about this. First, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Yes. So our AEDs are managed by our ambulance corps for both. They manage it for Portchester, Rye City, and Rybrook. And what that means is they come around and they update any software which has to happen. They check the pads, make sure the pads' expiration dates are in place. They keep a spreadsheet. Any updates to the software they manage. But when it comes time to replace them and they do have expiration dates, then we need to buy new units for them to manage, and that cost is on each individual municipality. And then again, it continues to be managed by the EMS, which is a nice service for us. It's included in our contract with them, or included as a service by them. So they were able to, obviously it's always best if we can to try to get the same type of units in each place, since those updates, have to regularly occur. These are the locations that are currently expiring and have to be replaced. I think the next one would be Harkness Park, I think next year. And then after that, there's 2, I think, in the highway garage that have to be replaced. 1 or 2 in the highway garage. So those are the ones that are coming up in future budget years. But this is money that was allocated in the capital account. As you can see, we're below budget, which is also good. And this is something that we encourage. We're glad. Thank you, EMS, for taking care of this for us.
No, this is a great opportunity to save somebody's life. This is a wonderful piece of equipment. And I see the fire department has 2. Is that a reason for that? Is there
Yeah, they
one
have
that
one
goes
in
in
each truck.
Oh, okay,
one in each
trucks.
truck.
Do they
Yeah.
take it out on calls?
Yeah,
Yeah.
every truck.
Every truck.
One on each truck.
I have a question.
And I should also mention, the village also moved all our AEDs in our parks. Remember when we first started, we had it in the bathrooms?
Yes.
Now they're moved exterior to the bathrooms with electric service for heat, and so we're now at a point where we're comfortable putting them outside.
Outside,
Yeah.
right.
Now we built up some experience with it. We were one of the early communities to do this, and so now we have boxes outside, and they're all put outside, which gives easier and quicker access than even before.
I think it's imperative. I'm thrilled that we have it. I'm proud that we have it. And it's worth any amounts of money to save a life.
Right.
That being said, I think there's probably ways to finance it with a bigger buying power with the other people that they oversee. So that way we would get a better price on each unit. Is that possible going forward?
Well, they all have different expiration dates. So a lot of communities were after us, so they don't have a lot of them won't expire for several years. And I will say that we got great pricing. This pricing have dropped on them considerably over the years.
They're ubiquitous now.
Yeah, they're a lot more. And these have dropped. And if you see, using a vendor that they've worked with in the past, the pricing is even less than anything the village could have purchased.
Great.
So
No,
we're able to get it
I'm
that
thrilled
way.
about it. I just
Yeah.
think that the power of numbers over
Mhm.
time, perhaps we should investigate having one vendor.
We like to, but we also have a procurement policy we have to follow.
Got it.
But luckily, in this case, the vendor used by the EMS was less than any of the procurement we could have gotten.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Chris, so these are when they're used, when they're taken off the wall, are they activated like sending a signal somewhere or no?
Yeah, no, they have software that has to be uploaded, maintained, and there's updates that happen on them too.
No, if one's being used, like
Once it's used, you got to replace it.
no, but when it is, if someone takes it off the walls to send a signal, we have
Yeah, there's an alarm that goes off. It doesn't
Uh,
go anywhere, but there's an alarm.
okay, it doesn't go anywhere, but if there's an alarm, it goes.
It's one of those things. That's why we
I
weren't
know, it's
sure.
kind
We
of-
weren't sure when we
Someone's gonna
first put
steal
when we
them or
first put
whatever.
them out.
Yeah.
Remember, there was a concern: are they going to be stolen? Is somebody going to take them?
Vandalized.
Somebody going to damage them?
No, nothing yet.
One,
It's
nobody
to
touches
save
them.
people's lives.
People
so
don't touch them.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's great.
People,
And that's why we're getting more comfortable too, having it outside in the bathroom.
Yeah. No,
In the
that's good.
past, when the bathrooms got locked, we had a sign that said, "Call the police department. They'll give you a code to open the door." But that's seconds. you
That's
know.
right.
So
Yeah.
now we've learned, and we said, "Okay, we can get it even faster if we do it exterior."
Yeah, good.
That's
and-
great. So our
and we do
residents should
training,
know
too. We
that
also
these
do
are
training.
available.
Well, we also do.
There's signage.
We go over and above. If you know, remember, we have we're about the only community that has an AED and program. No, we have a whole plan that we have. We require, before the state required it, we require all of our coaches. The traveling coaches also got them. All the travel leagues, they have to do CPR, basic first aid. There's an AED awareness class that they take, which EMS provides for them at our firehouse. We also have a pre-game check where on the bags, the coaches' bags. So think about on our little league team, our games, they'll go out to the field, and when they have the coaches meet with the refs, they have a tag that says everything where the AEDs are located in the park, and they have to go through that procedure
good.
where they're located. So AEDs and first aid, so you know who has them, you know where they're located before the games even start.
That is fantastic. I'm thrilled to hear it. And you should know that on the news recently, not in Rybrook, but somewhere more locally, they saved a child who needed this used, and they were
Right.
saying that it was an amazing experience
Yeah.
and it saved a life. So thrilled we have
We
it.
actually have a committee also that reviews them, and if there's an incident, we go back and look at the incident and make sure
Good.
everything was, handled right,
Right.
with residents on that as well.
Great.
Any other questions, comments? Anybody want to grill Chris further?
I wasn't grilling him, asking a question.
Asking questions.
Can we get a motion on the resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Trustee Epstein,
Yes.
Trustee Crom,
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Heiser.
In light of Chris' brilliance, yes. Administrators report.
Okay, we just a couple things want to mention. Winterfest is coming up. Believe it or not, that's Friday, December 5th. That's right around the corner. So a week from Friday, December 5th, is Winterfest. We're very excited about it. It'll be hopefully another amazing event for the Rybrook, and hopefully have great attendance. This week, just a reminder, the village offices are closed this Friday for the day after Thanksgiving, as well as Thursday for Thanksgiving. And that does cause a change in sanitation calendar, and this is always the tricky one. We did send an email reminder, and please put it on any Facebooks you have. Thursday collections are collected tomorrow. So when it goes backwards, it's always very hard to remember. It's easier when it's forward. Backwards is harder. And the other thing is they come around quick. Because people forget, that means the trucks go around a lot quicker than they used to. Now, we do require in our current contract, we require a later start to try to catch that a little bit in the beginning, but they will go much faster than normal. So if they normally come at like 9 or 10 o'clock, I would suggest putting it out before, as early as possible or tonight, because they come around quick.
Sure.
I've sent that out to all the houses on my street.
Great.
That tomorrow is
Yeah.
recycle day.
It's both garbage
Garbage,
and recycle.
garbage. Well, it depends on where you are, but garbage, recycle, and bulk is all tomorrow for Thursday collections.
But then Friday is the regular schedule,
Friday's regular schedule.
which is, even though it's a holiday in Village Hall.
Village offices will close, but
Yes,
sanitation is a regular schedule.
Right, no, I saw it, yeah.
So recycling is, if you're on Friday, it's
If you're on,
Friday?
everything Friday stays the same.
Yes.
All you have to know is anything on Thursday gets collected Wednesday.
Thank you.
And no green waste this week because it's a holiday week. We also have Paula's Pals Coat Drive. Last day for that is December 5th, so you could drop off any lightly used coats at either our recreation office or AJP. And every year they they collect hundreds of coats for people who have that in need, and it's a nice thing, and it's in recognition of Rob Bertolacci's wife who had passed, many years ago at this point, and it's a nice thing, nice remembrance, something that she used to do, and it's a nice way to keep that memory up. And lastly, we also kicked off our HR study, and we issued the request for proposals with 4 other communities with a shared HR feasibility study to share HR services and examine how we do it now and how we could all do it even better. And those communities are Rybrook, Tuckahoe, Irvington, Elmsford, and Dobbs Ferry are all studying that. We're taking the lead on that, and that RFP was issued with responses due by the end of the year. So hopefully we'll get some nice responses. And it's a great opportunity to hopefully do something a little bit different and hopefully better.
Any old business? Any new business? We have 2 items for discussion. The first is the 2025 Travel and Day Camp.
Okay, so
Discuss amongst yourselves.
why don't I set the table? How about that? That be okay?
Be good.
All
I'd like
right.
to get home to set the table.
I was going to say. Susan is cooking, so please say it quickly.
Okay. So last year, when the board made we made modifications to the day camp and the travel camp, we had several discussions about that and set some policy, and the policy was to have a target to try to have revenues cover expenditures by about 95% of the total expenditures. And we said, but since we're doing modifications, we want to see what would be the impact on that target. Would we lose people? Would some people go away if the prices were increased or modified? And we said, let's revisit the experience of it next year to see if the percentages are about right, see if there's been any impact on enrollment, any feedback on the program itself. We also do surveys after every event, every program we do to the users in the program. So I did prepare, and there's backup on the agenda for any of the members of the public that want to take a look. On the travel camp, we recovered 106% of our expenditure costs, so we more than covered the expenses for our travel camp. We were able to reduce our expenditures from the prior year, largely by doing a little bit closer and some of the different types of buses where we can, more of the school buses versus the coach buses if it was a little bit closer. And on the day camp, we recovered, so we exceeded the target on travel. We fell short on the day camp. We got about 84% of our expenses were covered by revenues. When you look at it, we're pleased on the camp expenses. We're able to save about $16,000 over the prior year, but our seasonal staff was higher. So we do pay a little bit more each year, but at the same time, that might be an area we can look at to make some changes. Overall, though, I think we did very well and hit the target. The target again was 95%, and it's never going to be perfect, but overall between the two programs we hit 93%. So that's pretty good in terms of as overall. And in terms of enrollment, pleased to say that both the travel camp and the day camp increased in attendance. So that was also a very positive thing to see. We didn't lose anybody, and in fact we gained on both sides. Last year, in terms of travel camp, we had 72 people, and this past summer we had 76 that attended in total. On the day camp side of it, we had 152 enrollees last year, and this year we had 162. So you can see we're very pleased that, you know, we had people, and very consistent in each of the categories that we went through as well. So I think it's been a good experience, and obviously it's a time for the board to discuss how any impact, if they'd like to make changes. Remember, this, since the budget time is too late to make changes that would impact next summer, so any changes that would be discussed would have to be made, you know, more in the next month or two.
Chris, and you probably don't know the answer, why are there so many, I'll call them counselors on the day camp?
Well, we do have to meet certain enrollment categories on how many counselors we have per attendees. Remember, some of it is also we need to have. We have some are our directors, some are art instructors, some are just, you know, kids who do the program. I didn't sit here and count them up, but you could see the number of people we have. Not everybody goes every week, but they are pretty consistent throughout. Remember, these are every 2 weeks. These pay periods you're looking at, it's 2 weeks of pay, just because it's a payroll that goes every other week. But the counselors are there to make sure the kids are running the programs and that they're there supervising the kids. Not just even at the day camp, it's more local. At the travel camp, it's a little bit harder because we have, you know, the kids are running around a park or going wherever. We want to make sure we have the appropriate staffing. And I did mention, as I mentioned, the one area that I think we need to take a hard look at is the seasonal staff on the day camp. There might be an opportunity to cut back on the number of counselors per group.
Per kid. Yeah.
You still have to meet the minimum requirements for the health code, for the code, for the requirements for the health department, but I think there might be some opportunity to cut back a little bit.
I do have a question. There's refunds noted in here. Can you share with me what those were and why are they so high?
I couldn't answer specifically, but in general, I could tell you every year we have refunds, and usually it's kids having injuries, you know, have an injury, either at our camp or outside the camp. You know, it's usually and we'll prorate it. You know, if there's
If we can get back up on that, I
Yeah.
would appreciate it.
that's usually what it is, though. I can tell you, but
Okay.
I will get the backup. But my experience is usually
It's an injury.
it's an injury. So if they
Okay.
can't continue in the park, we will, for that kind of an excuse, we usually are pretty lenient.
Okay. So I really don't want to discuss this without Mayor Klein, because he is a big part of this discussion. But we did not, I think we have to read the surveys. I would urge everybody to read the surveys because some of the parents were asking for different things. And if we're going to change it, it has to be in the next month or two. We don't want to delay and have Bert be upset with us that we're holding everything up this year and get it done. But that being said, when you have so many people and you hire them and they expect to work, I don't know how you can cut it back. So therefore, something will have to be done to cover that number again, because again, I don't think that the village needs to subsidize to this degree. That you can't count that that's going to be the same, and
The percentages will definitely vary, but it's good to have a target, whatever that target is.
No, and we did better, and I'm
yeah.
thrilled about that. And as you can see, the increase did not thwart the attendance.
Yeah, no, that was positive. And it's a policy issue about how much is subsidized. So I'll leave that to the village board to give direction to the staff.
Right,
but on the expense side and the revenues on the expense side, though, you know, there are things you could do to control expenses. I mean, we know the bus fees are expensive, so you have to balance. And this is a good discussion for the future. You know, if the farther away trips will require coach buses, which will cost more, but people might like that. It also requires a longer day, which will increase your expenses on the staff side too.
Exactly. And
But there's everything is possible, or you can say we could cut the costs and cut the costs by doing more local and using school buses.
Well,
So,
I had the
yeah.
luxury of reading the surveys, and I would urge everybody to do that. And
We'll
a lot
circulate
of the
that.
travel camp people are saying they would prefer the better buses and the better trips,
Mm-hmm.
and they're willing to pay. So, just throwing that out
no,
there.
we can modify whatever the needs and desires are of the people that are looking for the
So,
program.
parents, we would like to hear from you if you want to have input. The surveys were not as numerous as I would have liked to have seen. So if you have positives or negatives in the day camp or the travel camp, please send an email to the village staff, and we'll be reviewing that. So we would love your input.
Well, what I noticed also is that the number of campers in both the travel camp and the day camp are roughly the same, but the staff costs for the day camp 3 times that of the travel camp.
They're little kids.
They're younger, much younger.
They're little kids. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
They don't need as much. I think the law doesn't require as much ratio for older kids, or what is the
The
law?
village,
I don't know.
the ratio, but I can find out for you.
Yeah, that would
Okay.
be helpful.
And I will also say, we also are not required to pay minimum wage either, just so you're aware.
We're not required to pay minimum wage, so
No.
we pay in addition.
We do pay regular wages. We do pay minimum wage, and then it builds up every year that you're there, you'll get an increase.
Because that could also be the reason why it's so high.
It'll go up every year, depending, but you get people then drop off and they drop back, and you get new people on minimum wage, so, but you don't,
Okay.
I'm just giving you your options. We do as a matter of, we think it's the right thing to do, but if
Right.
somebody wants to change it, I'm just telling you it's not a requirement.
No, that's not what I was looking
No,
at.
no, I'm just trying to tell you the different options you can look at
Right,
on how to save money.
okay.
Yeah, because it looks like the expenses came in under budget, so it's really just the staff costs.
Yep.
On the day camp that we need to,
Correct.
put the microscope on.
I'd say I agree wholeheartedly.
Any other comments, questions?
I'll just throw out, I mean, employment.
You didn't
So-
have to do
Okay.
that.
No, I think having a summer job is a good thing, and so yeah, we want the appropriate staffing, but it's just a great thing for teenagers to have summer job opportunities too. So
And it tends to be all local
I was gonna
kids.
say, are they
Yeah,
residents?
they're local kids, residents get preference for sure.
Great,
I
Right.
think, yeah, I applaud that.
sure, and is there any kind of?
Many of their first jobs.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Do we have any kind of employee books for counselors?
We have a lot of information. There's a lot that's required right now, but they have to go. There's the paperwork is a big packet of paperwork, if that's what you're asking.
No. What I'm asking is, do we supply them with what they're supposed
Duties
to be
are?
doing,
Yes.
duties, et cetera?
Yes,
We do.
There's
We have
training.
we have a handbook.
And there's also, I don't know if there's a handbook, but I know we do a lot of we have training classes, and before they start, they've got to go through a whole series of training classes with our full-time staff and directors.
Okay, so that's great. So again, please read the surveys, because there were a lot of comments with regard to the counselors.
Any other comments about this issue?
I know.
Okay, we can move on to the second discussion item. Hold on.
So you want me to put this back on next agenda, just
Sure,
to
because I think,
clarify, right? Yeah.
Jason will
And I'll give that
really
additional
Jason an
backup.
appreciate being
opportunity.
part of it.
Technology and Communications Committee. Sal, is that your baby?
Yes. Sorry,
So to
guys.
speak.
So to speak. So I wasn't at the first couple of meetings, but I did happen to make the last meeting, and they did talk about ways, and this committee was established to talk about ways to help communicate with the residents. It was a well-rehearsed meeting, and I must say that due to the fact that, of course, the Westmore News is no longer present, it is very difficult, or it's hard for people to know what's going on in the village. And Pam is the chairperson, Jaffe is the chairperson on this committee, right? Who was the chair? Oh, Craig and Paul. But Pam's been doing the. Right, okay. Sorry about that. And right now, we're in the phase of communicating with the town of Rye to see what they have and how their process is and costs. So we're going to wait to see what the costs are, because this is going to obviously cost the village a little bit of money, but not a lot, to move forward in whether it's Facebook or whether it's texting, all types of other new communications that's out there that we'll be using. And hopefully we should have something up and running within a month or so.
I was hoping for something like the first issue of the Morlino News.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe next month. But I don't know if Chris has anything to add.
I think all the recommendations look good, and you
Yeah.
know, anything we could do to reach out in different ways and different platforms. I personally think, you know, different resident groups have different ways to communicate, and the more you can do it in a variety of ways, is going to get the word out to people.
Right.
So I think the recommendations were all strong, and if there's other ways we can do it in a greater variety and not cause a lot of need a full-time staff to do it, which they're all working with it. They understand that too. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, hopefully right, exactly. Hopefully you don't need a full-time staff to do it.
No, and they emphasize that too.
Yeah.
They emphasize, stuff that wouldn't be, we don't have a full-time communications director here. It's basically divided among all the existing staff, and they recognize that, which I appreciate. And they say maybe there's other methods we can get it out, perhaps in different ways.
So they're doing the research. Hopefully we'll see what other communities are doing as well.
Yep.
I mean, we do have a web page, but I guess seniors maybe don't use it as much, and sending out mailings is very expensive from what I understood.
And people just throw it out these days.
Right,
Most people
right.
don't really follow the mailings too well.
Well,
But the text systems that are out there is one of the ways that they were talking about.
Correct.
There's some systems that will, if you send one message, they'll send it out through the multiple sources in one send. I know there's some things like where it'll send the text they put on Facebook. There's ones that have blended them all together. So if you send a message, you're able to move it into each one of those services.
Right.
That's something else to think about.
All right, and that's it, David.
Any other questions?
No, I would just, one person's feedback, one trustee's feedback.
Which one?
And me, I may be, this is my personal opinion, which it maybe goes without saying, but come budget time, I know it's not going to happen before the budget, but I would be in favor of spending 10 times what you guys are thinking. In other words, not 2,000, 20,000. I mean, our budget is, I'm going to round to 27 million. A lot of private businesses spend 5 to 10% of revenue to get the word out about their products and services.
Yeah.
So, I'm not advocating for us to spend 2.7 million, but 2,000. So I'd be in favor, again, to think about, if that's not what the committee decides, fine, but, some hourly time, because what I think the gap is, this is just, again, my opinion, but I think the various departments do a great job getting information out about, hey, change in trash collection schedule, change in recycling. We have a whole book on the recreation. People seem to know when all the games are, when all the ice cream socials are, when the concerts are. That word gets out. I think we do a great job at that. I think what's missing is the kind of thing the paper was providing, which is like, hey, what's going on with 475 Anderson Hill Road, which is a private property? We're never going to be, to research, and I don't think that it'll ever be in our purview to try to report on, what's happening in the private thing. But somebody to curate, like for instance, our mayor gave a great speech at the Westchester Mayors and Administrators Association, MMOA. A great speech, but someone needs to sort of capture that, format it, figure it, and that takes more than just systems. It takes like a curator, which is somebody fairly high level, and our high level people are already busy getting the word out on their programs, but I think it's a profession. PR. The newspaper had a whole team of people that were doing this. To think that for 2,000 we're going to replace a whole newspaper, I just think bigger, because I think it's important. And I think the stuff's there. But like these meetings, in a newspaper, a reporter might sit out and say, hey, there's a controversy on the leaf blowers. Should they be, should these places get an exemption, and research it and write stories? how many exemptions were given. It takes time to put all that together.
And money, right?
And I think we're very efficient at getting it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think people that need the information, like the senior center, they have a whole newsletter, they have a whole calendar, they have a lot of information now. So in other words, the seniors are getting all that, and that's probably good. But okay, so I'm sort of scattered, but I just think a little bigger. And I'd be in favor of
No,
$25,000 line item budget
No,
if it made sense.
They just came up with a number. I don't know where they got it from.
Yeah, don't be afraid, in my opinion, don't be afraid to think bigger.
No,
but-
right.
But
right.
some of it, I do have some different feelings about it because I think like some of it is okay. It's our if we're gonna do something like that, we need to do how we gonna what's gonna matter to the people that want that don't have it. How are you gonna get their attention? Certainly I think we can leverage some of the IT stuff and some of the AI that's out there that is pretty good at sending and managing some of that information. I think that we can make improvements in that area. We're not always the best marketing of ourselves, like to your point. I think governments aren't the best. We're not the best promoters of what we do always, We're good at getting information out, but we don't promote.
Right.
The other thing is, though, like some of it tells you, to me, I always have the strong feeling that we need to go where people are gathering, And I think some communities are doing, like some of the larger cities even, I know in one place there's a mayor of a large city that has neighborhood meetings every week, once a month or whatever, in a different neighborhood, and people meet in a park
Excuse
and
me.
can just come up and talk about whatever's bothering them. Or I don't know if that fits for Rybrook or not, but it's things like that. How do we go to places? Do you go to Starbucks once in a while and do like the mayor's,
I think they said that
the mayor
in
or the
the-
village or staff or whoever will be there to answer your questions at Starbucks for this hour because that's where people are going, right?
Right, but that takes time to coordinate.
Yeah,
I mean, it's.
What I'm saying is
yeah.
that some of it's personal touch, and I
Yeah.
think some of it is you can leverage some of the AI and stuff that's out there to help promote us too. So I'm not sure how much even it's a monetary thing. Some of it will be, but I think some of it is just how do people want information. I think that's a big question.
Well, like our representative at the county, Nancy Barr, this isn't a political statement. She and her staff put out a beautifully curated newsletter, I think once a week, which it's not partisan,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
It's
It's just
information.
very complete about what's
Out there.
opportunities in parks. I mean, it's very,
Yeah.
but it's curated. I mean, it's not little information bits. It's somebody's taking a lot of, I don't know how long they're taking, but it seems there's photographs, there's
Yeah.
text. I mean, this is not necessarily so easy to do.
And
No,
we can ask
no.
Nancy how she goes about it
of
and
course.
perhaps model our plan after hers. That's,
Yeah, we
that
can
should be
ask.
part of our next discussion too, if, following through. But I
Y-
understand what you're saying. I think we do need better communication. We have to devote some money to it, but again, with the advance of AI, there are ways for us to, call that information and perhaps put it out there that way.
Mike Novak, I remember a couple years ago, brought up an idea of an electronic billboard, and at first I thought,
Had it on our budget for a number of years now.
and this electronic, it kind of like tacky in a sense.
Yes.
But I tell you, in certain location, it may make sense. Maybe
It doesn't have to be electronic. We did propose some other ones also that were more
like in the shopping center,
we talked. Yeah, we did
Anywhere,
talk
somewhere
about
where it's
standardizing the communications that are out, and also allowing community groups to standardize on it too. Newcastle does a good job, I think, with that, with a nice wooden type thing. But everyone's got to use the same format. It's got to slide in the same system. It has the same look and feel. I just don't, because I think that a lot of the signs or the stuff that's out, the way we do it now with the signs, and they're all different sizes and shapes, not just for us but for anyone. I just don't think the lack of consistency loses the message sometimes. There's too much on it. There's people are driving by that can't read them because there's too much on it, information.
you're saying like a manual where someone puts letters up.
No, nothing like that. There's basically the way they do it in Newcastle is they do it's Newcastle News, whatever it's called, and there's one in Millwood and there's one in Chappaqua, and they basically have sliders on a board that people have to go and they can go to a printer and they can get it, but it's got to be a certain size and it slides in and they all look uniform, so you have the same look and feel. I'm not
Okay.
saying that's what you have to do, but that
That's a
same
little
look
nice-
and feel.
nice
Your,
little-
your eyes
little-
also your eyes also get trained to look there instead of being like, what does that sign say? It's stuck in the ground or on posts.
No, good. No, that makes.
Training because people want to look for that consistency.
So, do you think we're going to, we can have a brief conversation with people that are attending Winterfest if we want, when we're there, to probe them? If, I know that I'm planning on attending. How would you like to see information?
Yeah.
Where would you get it from? And do a survey of our own?
We're doing a survey. They're doing a survey. It's in the plan was a survey.
Okay.
That's another part of it.
So I'm
So-
just saying yes and, I'm not trying
Yeah.
to criticize anything
No,
that they're
no,
doing.
no,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
No, but it's
not having Westmore is a big loss.
I do think that they're pushing like move, but I don't think it's going to happen overnight.
Right, no, right.
This is not going to happen next month. This is going to happen 4 months from now. I think by the time we get a survey, by the time we decide, by the time we vote on it, it's going to take a little time.
I feel.
So-
I don't
so
think we can fill the gap, but it's on this one issue. But the one thing that always bothers me is like the sports that's in Westmore. The kids that were playing, they miss.
I know, miss
they
that.
miss seeing their
Writing
names
their
in
name on it,
that, and
yeah.
a picture
So
of
the
it.
parents are taking, the school is actually posting things and taking care of that.
Okay, good.
They are giving, I don't know if you see the posts on Rybrook Residence where the families are saying, this kid is the
Yeah, I
students,
saw that.
not the students of the week, the athlete of the
A
week.
week.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
You know
that's
what? I
nice.
don't see that. Because the thing about Facebook is,
The algorithm.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you're seeing something completely different than I'm seeing.
Yeah, that is,
You know?
that is
Yeah.
true.
Interesting.
I'm starting to see a lot about fire company stuff because I guess I went to the fire company.
Right,
what's
it's
going
very
on
funny. Now we're all going through
I'm
this
seeing about
online
every
somewhere.
fire company in the county on Facebook.
So maybe we should be asking the school to post things on Rybrook Residence, and we in turn can ask them to post things on.
Yeah, we talked about that too. Communicate
there,
with, yeah, we
yeah.
did, it's,
So I'm worried. Here we are spending a fortune for Winterfest. Do the kids know about it? Do we send out things to the nursery schools, because that's also our target audience? Do they have a flyer?
yeah, it's true, it's true.
Are
I
we
mean,
doing that to give them?
We can get it out to the PTA. We've got a good build. We've really built up a nice relationship with like the PTA now, and which didn't always exist. And not that we had a bad relationship, it just was kind of not much
Right.
communication.
How about the preschool?
So we're doing a lot more with the PTA. I know Greg and Ben, right, is also doing more with the son. Yeah, Greg, Ben, and Bert are all working on that relationship,
Great.
and it's reciprocal. It's both ways.
That's
why we
fantastic.
had such a massive turnout at
Ice
our trunk and treat was just crazy big, and it was because they participated. We had the PTA there. They all worked on the project for the car, and as a result, all the kids came because they were part of it. So we're trying to build those relationships.
And voted for them and they won.
And they won.
Yeah.
They all voted for it.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. But
Which
again,
is
I'm
absolutely
going to
good.
drill back. Can we send out? We have 8 days. I know that 2 of them are vacation days. We need to let the preschools know about this also. Do you have a list of the preschools in the area?
We have 2 in Rybrook. Well, one is the Montessori school. The other one is the preschool in Belfair.
There's also the one in St. Paul's too.
Okay. Do you have a contact at KTI? A lot of kids go to KTI.
The deputy mayor, I'm sure, has.
I am not the person that you should be doing that with, but
Contact?
you can use me, but I will get you the names of the people that
Yeah,
you
that's
should.
it.
Sure.
Or how about the executive?
We'll follow up.
Yeah.
So I just think it's really imperative to get the word out there any way we can, and because we want it to be successful. And I know that weather is a huge component of that. So let's hope for amazing weather this year.
Absolutely.
yeah, yes.
Put the order in. I don't care if
the
it's
weather's
cold, but
nice.
it can't be wet.
When the weather's nice, it's packed.
When,
Yeah.
You know,
when
when
it's
the weather's
cold.
not nice,
It was cold last year, right?
It was.
It was really
wet.
cold.
We've had
Cold or
cold.
wet? I
We've
love
had
cold.
rain.
Cold in a
We've
row
had
is
We've
terrible.
we've had everything.
We've had everything. There's no weather that we've not been subjected to.
There'll be another surprise guest in addition to Santa.
That means the Grinch, is it? Surprise guest,
A
huh?
couple of things.
You know who the surprise guest
Of course
is?
I do.
Oh,
Our next meetings are going to be on December 9th. That's the only meeting we're having in the month of December, and then January 13th. I'd like to wish everybody a joyous Thanksgiving. This is the 162nd year in which this country is celebrating the holiday of Thanksgiving. In case anybody
Only
wants to.
162?
162, even older than I am. It started in 1863. So Abraham Lincoln, during the Civil War,
Oh.
he thought
Really?
we should take a day off just to give thanks and to
Interesting.
commemorate all
So
that's been
not counting the
happening.
pilgrims.
If I may ask, when is the meeting after December 9th?
January 13th.
Thank you.
And finally, Mayor Klein, I hope you feel better.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion.
Second.
Aye.
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 Aye, aye.
Captain.
Thank you very much, all of you, for putting up with me.